Hey everybody, this is GGB. The NFL season starts tomorrow, so I should do my NFL prediction videos. I've waited long enough. So let's get into it. There's going to be 14 teams I'm going to pick for the NFL playoffs. So let's just get into it. We'll start with the AFC. I think the AFC is pretty obvious. I think the four division winners are going to be the same this year. I'd be shocked if there's this crazy change. I don't think it's going to happen. So at the 1 seed, I still have the Kansas City Chiefs. I still think they are the team to beat in the AFC. I think it's going to be hard for me to imagine a team not named the Chiefs getting the 1 seed. That hasn't happened. It's happened like once since Patrick Mahomes has been there. Maybe a couple. Actually, it's happened a couple times. The Pats did it 1 year. The Ravens did it another. The Ravens did it twice to them. But none of it matters. Because the Chiefs are just the dominant team in the AFC. I feel like some people might pick someone else to be the number one overall seed, but I'd be throttled if it wasn't the Kansas City Chiefs. They are still the team to beat in the AFC. They're still the best team in the AFC. For the 2 seed, I'm going to pick the Baltimore Ravens. I think they have a really good team built together this year. Last year, them and Buffalo were kind of duking it out for the 2 and the 3 seed. Buffalo ended up getting the win in that one, so W for Buffalo, but again, I think Baltimore is probably the second best team in the AFC this year. Lamar Jackson is probably the best quarterback in the AFC, maybe. Lamar Jackson is really good. He just needs to start stepping up in the playoffs, but you look at all the pieces together for this Baltimore Ravens team. I'd be shocked if this isn't the 2 seed in the AFC and they win the North, although I think the Bengals could end up giving them a fight. More on that later. For the 3 seed, I have the Buffalo Bills. Again, I think these are the 3 teams that are just kind of above everyone else in the AFC. It's really Kansas City on a tier of their own, and then Baltimore and Buffalo are this tier, where they duke it out to see who gets to lose to Kansas City. Buffalo is a solid team. They have a good team built together this year. Again, I don't think this is a Buffalo team that can beat the Kansas City Chiefs. You look at it, and the pieces just aren't there. They can beat the Kansas City Chiefs, but you're telling me in the NFL playoffs, can they beat the Kansas City Chiefs? They haven't shown the ability to do it. They haven't made any substantial changes to be able to get to the point to do it, and it's just like, what are we even doing here, guys? What are we doing? Buffalo is just not good enough to beat the Kansas City Chiefs right now, and they're my pick for the 3 seed. 4 seed, I got the Texans. Again, it's a kind of boring. I'm pretty sure it's almost the same as last year, because I flipped Buffalo and Baltimore. But if you look at the AFC South, who else is going to win it? Who legitimately is going to win it that's not the Houston Texans? Is it the Jaguars? Wow! The Colts with a Daniel Jones? The Titans with a rookie quarterback? It's just not going to happen. It's the Texans to win. Easy pick for the Texans to win that conference and go to the NFL playoffs as the 4 seed. The 5 seed is where it gets interesting, and that's where I'm going to go Bengals. I think Bengals are a weird team. I think they're going to lose a lot of games this year with the fact that they don't have a defense, which I think is going to hurt them. But I think Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins are so explosive that if they can stay healthy for a whole season, that they're going to win enough football games to get the 5 seed in the AFC, and I think the Bengals will end up getting that. 6 seed, I'm going to go Chargers. I think it's weird. I think there's a lot of teams you could go here, but I personally think the Chargers are going to end up being that team that is really, really good this year. Rashawn Slater's a big loss. I would have had them probably my 5 seed if Slater didn't get hurt. But I still think Herbert in that ground game, especially with Najee Harris and Omarion Hampton together, I think they have an actual receiving core in LA for the first time in a while, bringing back Keenan Allen. The defense is solid under Harbaugh, and I'd be a little bit shocked if this was not an NFL playoff team. I think they're going to end up with the 6 seed. And the 7 seed, I'm going to go a little bit shocker. I think the Pats are going to end up being the 7 seed this year, which sounds weird, but on paper, I think they have a lot of great pieces. I think Drake May showed a lot of improvement from last year, and I think they have a lot. They got better. They got it significantly better. They brought in Diggs as a receiving option, and I understand Diggs isn't the player he used to be, but he's still going to be a solid option for that New England Patriots team, and I kind of like the Pats to get that 7 seed and make the NFL playoffs, which, for a recap, this would be New England going to Baltimore in the wild card. You would have the Chargers traveling to Buffalo. You'd have the Bengals traveling to Houston. That is what I think is going to be the AFC side of the playoffs. Going to the NFC, I think the NFC is there's an interesting 3 rules I like to follow every year in the NFC. The team that wins the NFC never wins their own conference the next year. The team that wins the NFC East never wins the NFC East the next year. And a second-year quarterback always makes the NFL playoffs. Now, this is a rule that honestly I covered with the AFC over there, but I think it applies here because for my 1 seed, I'm going to go Commanders. I think the Commanders have a phenomenal football team this year. I know it's a shocker because a lot of people want to go Eagles here, but I think there's been a lot of years where an Eagles or a Cowboys team has dominated. They've looked like the best team in the conference by far. The year the Eagles went to the Super Bowl and played Kansas City, who won the conference the next year? The Cowboys. It just is not standard. Even if a team looks really good one year, they probably won't be as good the next. And that's why I think the Commanders are that 1 seed. They have a lot of great pieces. The only thing that's a real doubt is does Jayden Daniels take a step back in his sophomore year? But I don't think so. Daniels looked awesome his entire rookie campaign. And now, to be fair, Stroud looked awesome his entire rookie campaign. But I think a lot of people overestimate the sophomore slump and what happened to Stroud last year, right? Stroud was in large part a product of a lot of injuries, right? They lost Nico Collins. He lost his number 1 and number 2 receivers last year. I don't think that's going to happen, hopefully, to Jayden Daniels. If Debo and Terry McLaurin can stay healthy, this is going to be an electric football team, and I like the Commanders to get the 1 seed in the NFC. The 2 seed is an interesting one that I went back and forth on, but I kind of like the Green Bay Packers here. I honestly would have had the Packers as like a 7 seed, maybe even missing out on the playoffs entirely, but they went out and got Micah Parsons, and I think that is going to be big for them. Micah Parsons is a disruptor on defense. He's such a massive player, and normally you don't see one player make that big of a difference unless it's a quarterback. I think Parsons is going to make that big of a difference for the Green Bay Packers. I think the Packers are suddenly the best team in the NFC North. I think this is going to be a Packers team that wins the NFC North and gets that 2 seed. It was hard for me because I think the NFC North is going to be so difficult to win this year because I think all 4 teams are going to be pretty solid football teams, especially the Lions, who I'm going to have in my playoffs later. But I think that the Packers are going to be this team that takes this next step. If Jordan Love can just play the football I think he can play, the football he played against the Cowboys in the playoffs 2 years ago, then I think this could be a team that gets the 2 seed in the NFC, and I like them to win the North. The 3 seed I went back and forth on, but I finally settled on the 49ers. I think the 49ers is a team that has a very easy schedule. They had a lot of injuries last year, and I think they're going to bounce back. Normally you see a team go from last to first every year, and I looked at the other ones, and I didn't see it being a real distinct possibility. I mean, anything's a possibility, but I just didn't see it happening, right? I could see the Niners returning to their domination, right? The 49ers are a good football team when healthy, and I think they're going to be healthy. I think this is going to be a 49ers team that, yes, while they are not the most talented, lost a lot of talent on defense, I think getting Saleh back is going to take a lot of that off their plate, and I like the 49ers to get the 3 seed. And then the 4 seed always goes to the NFC South, and it will go to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers yet again. The Bucs are fine. They're okay. They're just not great. They're going to get the 4 seed. They're going to go like something like 9-8 or maybe 10-7. Whoa! And they're going to either lose in the wild card round or win in the wild card round and lose in the divisional because it's kind of the ceiling as a team. They're not going to be able to do more than that, but they play in a division where it's really easy to win the conference because all the other 3 teams are so incompetent that it's just a cakewalk for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I got the Bucs and Baker Mayfield getting the 4 seed. For the 5 seed, I like the Detroit Lions. Again, I think the Lions are still a really great team this year. Again, last year, it was a fight between the 1 seed and the 5 seed down to the last game between the Lions and the Vikes, right? Because the Lions and the Vikings were both really good football teams last year, and they both lost in the playoffs immediately. But I think the Lions are going to be a really good football team again this year. I think they're going to take a step back because I think it's hard to take a step up after the year they had last year. In the regular season, I think they take a step back. I think they end up losing the North, which is the first time since Dane Campbell's second year. They've won the North the past 2 years. I think it's going to be a loss, a little bit of a loss for the Lions, but honestly not that bad because you go on the road to Tampa to start. That's not that bad. So I got the Lions at the 5 seed. At the 6 seed, I like the Rams. Honestly, I like the Rams. I think the Rams are still going to be a solid team. I think Stafford might not play his best football throughout, but I still think this is a wild card caliber football team. And yeah, I like the Rams there. And then for the 7 seed, I like the Chicago Bears. And I know what you're all saying. You forgot the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't know, man. I think the Eagles are going to collapse. I think there's something bad's going to happen. I don't want something bad to happen, but I feel like something significant is going to happen. That they end up missing the NFL playoffs altogether. I think maybe there's going to be a Saquon Barkley injury or a Jalen Hurts injury. I think something bad's going to happen to the Eagles that is going to make sure they can't really make the NFL playoffs. Anyways, that's just my personal opinion. I like the Bears here because I think the Chicago Bears improved a lot from last year. I think Ben Johnson's a hell of a coach. They would have won so many more games last year and would have been an actual playoff threat if Matt Eberflus wasn't their head coach. And the Hail Mary really took all the wind out of their sails. That happened against the Commanders. I still think the Bears are a good football team. I think Caleb Williams is going to improve because he started to improve a lot at the end of the year. Remember, they're 1-0 in 2025 against the Green Bay Packers. I like the Bears here. I think the Bears are going to win, and I like the Bears to get the 7th seed in the NFL playoffs. Anyways, those are my NFL playoff picks. You can put your playoff picks in the thing below. You can make fun of me when eventually these are drastically incorrect. But anyways, I enjoyed making this video. Stay tuned for a lot of college football content coming up. Anyways, this is GGB saying adios amigos.